call Mr. McClellan. Actually, Denise,
Yes.
will you call him? Thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm gonna call your attorney now, and so he can appear by phone.
I'm sorry.
I'm calling your attorney so he can appear by phone.
Oh, okay, thank you.
He's on the line. Good morning, Mr. McClellan.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I have Ms. Chauvin here present in court this morning. I was provided the supplemental documentation from the state. Did you have a chance to review that?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Collins sent it to me this morning.
Okay, and this is case number 20 CF 14701. I reviewed the supplement as well, and I do find probable cause for both of the offenses. Mr. Collins, were you seeking to go forward on a proof evident presumption great argument?
Your Honor, based on the underlying facts of the case that I spoke to the officer at the time, the state's not going to be moving forward with presumption of proof evident presumption great. We would have just asked the court just take in consideration the offense itself and set a reasonable bond at this point because she is entitled to bond.
Sure. Mr. McClellan, did you have a specific bond amount that you wanted to suggest to the court?
Yes, Your Honor. And I have a response to Mr. Collins, and this is contained within my response. Your Honor, I think it came in as 2 counts of burglary with a battery. What my suggestion was is if the court were to do $7,500 as to each count. Ms. Chauvin has a local business. She's been a longtime resident of Florida. She's got a young child. She's not going anywhere. Her family's here. I would think that would be sufficient to make sure that she appears in court. I understand there would be conditions such as no contact with the victims. Your Honor, they do live in the same neighborhood. They don't live next to each other. But I've explained to Ms. Chauvin that she's not allowed to have any contact directly or indirectly with anyone, and that I would expect the court to make that a condition of her release. The only other question on I would have is that I don't remember looking in the affidavit and seeing that alcohol was an issue. I understand the court might want to, indicate that there'd be no alcohol, no firearms in the house, that sort of thing. Ms. Chauvin owns a restaurant/pub, so she's going to be working around alcohol, but certainly the condition of no consumption of alcohol would be fine with us.
Okay, Mr. Collins?
Your Honor, speaking with the officer, I don't think alcohol was a contributing factor here, so the state wouldn't be asking for any sanction like that. We would be, because of the underlying facts of the case, be asking, of course, no weapons or firearms, surrender any weapons or firearm in the household, just because of the underlying facts of the case.
Sure. Okay. Ms. Chauvin, I'm going to set monetary bond in the amount of $500 as to each count. You're not to have any contact with either of the victims. Do not go within 500 feet of their residence. Do you need to pass by their house to get to your house?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you're going to want to stay away from their residence. Like I said, no contact directly or indirectly. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Do you own any firearms, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I don't think there are any other conditions. Have I missed any of the standard conditions?
I think you covered them, Your Honor. I
Okay.
mean, based on the facts, the state's fine with what you just asked for.
All right.
Ordered,
Okay. Anything else, Mr. McClellan?
Your Honor, could you just repeat that bond amount?
Sure. It was 500 as to each count. So
Okay, all right.
1,000 total.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, just no return, just to be added to the safety, I know.
Thank you. That's what I did miss. Ms. Chauvin, you can't return. I know that I said no contact, but you can't return to the residence, the scene of the alleged offense, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. McClellan.
Thank you, Your Honor. I
All right.
appreciate it.
You too. Have a good day.
You too.
There's that. You file that. Thank you, Ms. Chauvin.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have Pinky McIntosh. Good morning, Ms. McIntosh.
Good morning.
Ma'am, you are here in 20MM 2925 because you failed to appear for arraignment back in September. I'm going to have you screened for mental health pretrial release. In the alternative, I'm going to set your bond at $500, ma'am. Thank you.
Can I ask you today, can I get released regarding?
No, I think we tried that last time.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
We tried.
Can't do it today, ma'am. Thank you.
How long I have to be in jail?
Well, they're going to come talk to you to see if you can qualify for the mental health pretrial program.
Who?
The social worker. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Miriam Galea.
Ma'am, you are here in 20MM 300. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may have a one-time return to get your things with the police if needed. Did you qualify for PTR?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time. Thank you. Good morning. Your name?
Morning, Gene Park.
Mr. Park, sir, you are here in 20MM 3717 for allegedly violating your probation by absconding from the court's jurisdiction, failing to pay your cost of supervision, and not completing the anger management program. Sir, your bond is set at none. Mr. Nguyen, would you like to enter a denial at this time?
Your Honor, actually, I was going to bring forward a probable cause challenge on this. It appears the warrant isn't signed by the judge in the case. Florida statute 901.02 requires an arrest warrant be signed by a judge to be valid. Due
I'm
to
looking
that,
at a warrant that's signed by Judge Cameron.
let me look again, because when I looked at the court file, it was blank.
If you want to approach and take a look at the warrant, you
Oh.
can.
Okay.
Okay. Good? It was not signed, okay. No problem.
We withdraw our challenge, Your Honor.
Sure, did you want to enter a denial at this time?
And yes, we will enter denial.
All right, so Mr. Park, I'm going to give you a court date in Division, what is Judge Cameron? 62. VOP status hearing is January 11th at 9:30 a.m. in courtroom 9B, sir. Thank you.
When again?
Excuse me?
When?
January 11th. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Oscar Perez.
Mr. Perez, this is case number 20MM8816. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. I do find probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. She need to come in the box? Yes. Okay.
It's locked. Shouldn't have key.
Is it locked? Denise, do you have it? Do I have the button?
That little box. Is it the box?
Oh, there we go. Sure. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Please
Madonna.
raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Can you state your name for the record?
yes. My name is Esther Feliciano.
All right, Miss Feliciano, I just need you to pull your mask up for me over your nose.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you very
sorry.
much. Ma'am, do you want to have contact with Mr. Perez?
No.
No. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, you are not to have any contact with Ms. Feliciano. You are to maintain a separate residence. You can return one time with the police to get your things if needed.
Okay.
You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $500, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Can I say some words?
Sure.
Yeah, and Your Honor, with all your respect, I was
Ms.
here.
Feliciano, if you could just move to the microphone for me.
I was here, I think a month and a half with my son. He did not follow the orders that you gave last time. The situation has worsened, and I'm not gonna press any charges against him, but I wanna say these words. The system of mental health has failed. I've been trying to get an appointment for him. I'm a social worker.
Okay.
I'm working his case, and there is no response because the list of waiting is too much. My son needs help. He has a history of mental health in Puerto Rico for 21 years. He's using substance as well too.
Sure.
And that is worsened his system. And I would like to know, with all due respect, if there is the possibility that he can be sent back to Puerto Rico, because he has his insurance medical over there. He has his mental record in Puerto Rico. He has his father. He has his family. He has everything. And then my mom, she's 83 years old. She's very ill. And I need to go back to Puerto Rico maybe next month. But I cannot leave him by himself because he does not have a quality of life. And he is in the street, he's using drugs, he doesn't follow up with his treatment, and I don't know what else to do with my son. I don't want him to be incarcerated because he hasn't done any crime, but I want him to be helped by the system to get the treatment that he needs. And as a social worker, I work with people and I help them, but I can't get the help from my son here. So that's really worrying me and draining me also.
I
need your help,
can only
please.
imagine your frustration, and
Yes.
I hear from so many family members all the time who are in a similar
I
predicament.
am so sad.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you're here today
Yes.
to show your support for your
Yes,
son.
always. For him and for everyone. But I need help for him. I need a system to do something because he needs rehab. He needs detox. He needs to be in a facility. I done different Baker's ads, and they charge me every time I do one is $40, only 72 hours, and they send him back to the street, and that's not good.
I know the system absolutely needs improvement for sure.
Yes, we need. I'm here to help too.
I understand. Mr. Collins?
Your Honor, the state would respectfully ask this court on sanctions. Can this court impose? One is to take all prescribed medications that are required by a doctor, and of course no illicit narcotics that are not prescribed by a doctor.
Okay. So I'm going to also add to the order, sir, that you are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription, and you are to follow any orders or recommendations of your treating doctor. Okay? Ma'am, that's all I have in my toolbox today to help you. I wish I had more. I really do. I would get in touch with the public defender's office and let them know your concerns. But thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, your name? Sir?
Mark Crumpler.
Sir, you are here in 20 CF 5713 because you failed to appear for court. Your bond, sir, is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender if they weren't previously appointed, and I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case, sir. Thank you.
What's going on, ma'am?
So you failed to appear for court, so you don't have a bond at this time, and I'm not going to revoke your bond on your other case. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, your name?
Ruby Blanc.
Sir, you are here in 20 MM 8820. You were arrested for trespassing. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Collins, did you have an offer for Mr. Blanc?
I apologize, one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
I do not, Your Honor. it's based on the pending case that has not been filed on, and there's a felony. Therefore, I'd like for the attorneys to get together and do a global.
Mr. Blanc, did you want to enter a plea to the trespassing case today?
Not guilty.
All right, sir. Your bond is $500. I'm going to revoke the bond in 20 CF 11968. That bond will be set at none. Thank you. Ernst Rollins. Mental health. Mr. Nguyen, did you want to waive his appearance? I'm going to appoint your office to represent him.
Yes, Your Honor, we'll waive his appearance.
All right, and that's in 20 CF 14734. He was arrested for false imprisonment and for battery. There is probable cause. He's not to have any contact with the victim. He is to maintain a separate residence. He may have a one-time return with the police to get his things if needed. He's not to possess any weapons or firearms. Any firearms must be surrendered within 6 hours of his release from custody. Bond on count 1 is $3,500. Bond on count 2 is $150. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Anna Lucy.
You were here in 20 MM 1013. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to get your things if you need to. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release at this time, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, sir?
Lord Christopher McFarlane.
Mr. McFarland, this is 20 MM 1012. You were arrested for battery, dating violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. You're also not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. Your bond is $500, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Hunt? Mr. Nguyen, did you want to waive her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor, we will waive her appearance.
All right. That's 20 MM 8828. I'll appoint the public defender. She was arrested for violation of a PTR condition on a domestic violence case. There is probable cause. She's not to have any contact with the victim. She's to abide by the order. And 20 MM 8673. Bond will be set at $1,000. I'm revoking the bond in 20 MM 8673. That'll be set at none. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name.
Willie Nelson Jr.
Mr. Nelson, sir, you are here in 20 MM 8819. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's
Yes, ma'am.
probable cause, sir. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need to return to get your things, you can do that one time with the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to place you on pretrial release, sir. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I say something? My
No,
girlfriend was at the residence,
talk
but
about
she
the
left and
child.
went back to Georgia.
Sure.
I don't have my ex-wife, I can't really go there. Can I bond out? That way I won't have to go through this? Because they're gonna want to check up on me and I don't have, because I work in and out of town as well.
That's okay. That won't be a problem. You're gonna have to call in and check in with them, and you can do that.
So I can go to the residence.
Yes, you just can't have any contact with her, and if she's there or living there, you cannot.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
Good morning. Your name?
Morning.
What's your name?
Johnny Pantojas.
Sir, this is 20 MM 8817. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You may have a one-time return with the police to get your things if needed. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Pamela Villafane?
You're here in 20 MN 8823. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may return one time with the police to get your things if needed. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. I'm going to place you on pretrial release, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah. No problem. Good morning, sir. Your name?
I'm Vernon Birch, ma'am.
Mr. Birch, you have several cases. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you in all of them this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
You have 20 CF 13762. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for criminal mischief greater than $1,000. You are not to return to the scene and you're not to have any contact with the victim. Your bond, sir, is $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
20 CF 13919. You were arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions and 2 additional counts of petty theft. Again, this is pursuant to a warrant. You are not to return to the scene, sir, or have any contact with any of the victims.
Yes, ma'am.
Bond on count 1 will be $1,000. Bond on counts 2 and 3 is $100.
Yes, ma'am.
You have 20 CF 14710. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine and resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint, like I said, the public defender to represent you. Bond in that case on count 1 is $1,000. Bond on count 2 is $100. You have an out-of-county case from Volusia County, Florida, where the bond is $1,000. It's related to failing to appear on a battery domestic violence case.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you can post bond on all of them. If you're unable to, once you resolve your Orange County cases, then Volusia County would come and pick you up.
All right, Judge, I had a question. Like on the FTA. I mean, that's been like a problem with my bond because they see the FTA for Volusia County. So when they get ready to come bond me out, I mean, on their computer it be like FTA, but it don't have no bond behind because it's FTA. But it got the battery, but it's a bond on it.
You do have a bond, right?
Okay, so if I can I bond out of Volusia County from here?
You can.
Oh, because when I call the bond, the FTA pop up and they don't be understanding. You know what I'm saying? They be like, like if it's an FTA, I mean I don't know. I would have been bonded, but that's the only thing that little problem right there because when it pop up in the computer, if the FTA and only reason it's FTA because back then it was like they had the COVID real bad, so we had to do the on the phone.
Mr. Rich, I don't know how to fix that for you. I would just suggest to you to explain to them that it is that, but you do the judge set $1,000 bond, and if they thought that you were gonna not come to court, they wouldn't have given you a bond at all.
Okay, so if I pay all them bonds, I can go home today.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, good morning.
Morning.
Your name?
Willie Cobb.
Mr. Cobbs, sir, you are here in 20 CF 14722. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Epps is mental health.
Mr. Nguyen, I'm going to appoint your office to represent him. Did you want to waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll waive his appearance.
All right, that's in 20 CF 14715. Mr. Epps was arrested for burglary of a structure and petty theft. There is probable cause. He's not to return to the scene or have any contact with the witness. Bond on count 1 is $3,500. Bond on count 2 is $250. Mr. Franco? Mr. Franco, you are here in case number 20 CF 14728. You were arrested for possession of amphetamine and possession of a fraudulent identification card or one of another. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Bond on count 1 is $2,500. Bond on count 2 is $100. Sir, you are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Benson Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd, this is case number 20 CF 13716. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for robbery, burglary of a conveyance, and for grand theft. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. Your bond on count 3 is $150. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with any victims or witnesses. You were also arrested in 20 CT 1037 for driving while your license is suspended. There's probable cause. Your bond is $500. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license. I'm going to revoke the bond in 19 CF 12417. That bond will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
I didn't understand the last part. What was the last thing you just said?
Your bond on your out on bond case has been revoked. You'll have to have your lawyer file a bond motion.
Your Honor, we have a PC challenge to 2 of the counts on the next.
Mr. Medalist?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is 20 CF 14727. Sir, you were arrested for possession of a weapon or ammunition by a convicted felon, burglary of a dwelling or structure while armed, criminal mischief, another count of burglary to a structure, grand theft of a firearm, and possession of burglary tools with intent. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Nguyen, what are your challenges?
Actually, Your Honor, just on the Berg dwelling structure with damage of $1,000. I don't. The vehicle I don't think qualifies as a dwelling or a structure.
Mr. Collins.
Your Honor, I'm not going to try to challenge that. I think that's a typo, basically, based on the affidavit I read. I'm not going to make an argument on that. If the court doesn't want to buy PC on, that's fine. I believe it was meant to be a conveyance.
So, but when I'm reading this, I also didn't see in the affidavit, oh, never mind. Okay, I misread that. All right, I agree. It's burglary of a conveyance. So the court will find probable cause as to count 1, as stated. Count 2, the court finds probable cause for burglary of a structure or conveyance while armed. There's probable cause as to count 3, as stated. There's probable cause as to count 4, but it's just burglary of a structure with damage over $1,000. Then grand theft of a firearm, there's probable cause as stated, and then possession of burglary tools, probable cause as stated. Mr. Collins?
I just wanted to be clear, did you find PC on the structure or conveyance, Your Honor? Because I think that was meant to be on count 4.
On 4? Yeah, it's a
meant to be a conveyance.
Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you. Okay, I figured. All right, so count 1 is PC. as stated.
Okay.
Count 2, it's burglary of a conveyance while armed. 3, as stated. 4, it's burglary of a conveyance with damage over 1,000.
Okay.
And then count 5 is stated, and as well as count 6 is stated.
Are the statute numbers different? Are they the
I'm not sure, we can look at the court.
same? Okay.
I'll look with you. Is the state seeking to have Mr. Medalis held at no bond as to count 2?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the affidavit, we seek proof as presumption grade, seeking the four corners of the document and for the court to take into consideration.
All right, Mr. Nguyen?
Your Honor, we will, we want to retain the right to an Arthur hearing, and we will defer to the discretion of the court with regards to a bond.
So at this time, the state has met their burden, sir, to establish that there is proof evident or presumption grade. Count 2 is a life felony, so you can be held at no bond. So at this time, bond on count 2 will remain at none. Your lawyer has preserved your right to have a hearing as to whether or not the court would like to exercise discretion in giving you a bond as to count 2, and they will have to file that motion in Division 19. Bond on count 1 is $5,000. Bond on count 3 is $5,000. 4, $5,000. 5, $150. 6, $150. You're not to have any contact with the victim, and you're not to return to the scene. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir.
I guess the question.
Yes.
So I don't have a bond on one. I have a bond on all the charges.
Except for one, and your lawyer has to file a bond motion to see if the judge wants to grant you a bond in that count. And that's the armed burglary of the car.
All right.
Okay, thank you, sir. Miss Miles? Medical quarantine? Oh, okay, I'll reset her within 24 hours of her release from the hospital. Mr. Odom?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Odom, sir, you are here in 20 CF 14718. You were arrested for hit and run, failing to stop or remain at a crash with injury or severe bodily injury. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender. Mr. Odom, did you want to say something to me?
Yes, my attorney was supposed to be here, but court was supposed to originally start at 11, so he might be running a little behind. It's Michael LaFay. So
Okay.
he's supposed to be here like probably any second.
Sure, I'll recall your case.
Okay, thank
No
you.
problem. Good morning, your name?
Alexander Pinthony.
Sir, you were here in 20 CF 14721. You were arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. You're not to return to the Macy's at Millennium Mall. Your bond, sir, is $1,000. I'm revoking the bond in 20 CF 13041. That will be set at none, sir. Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Good morning.
Tell me your name, please.
Jonathan Rodriguez Caraballo.
You were here in 20 CF 14736. You were arrested for traveling to meet a minor after use of computer and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with any children under the age of 18, sir. Your bond on count 1 is $2,500. Your bond on count 2 is $150. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Jocelyn Villat.
Ms. Villat, you have two cases. You failed to appear in 20 CF 4223 for case management conference. In that matter, your bond is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender if they weren't previously appointed. And then you have 20 MM 2762. You failed to appear for trial in that case. That is a Division 63 case. I'm going to give you a pretrial conference date. That is going to be January 7th at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 12C. And I'm not going to revoke your bond on your out on bond case. Thank you.
No bond on the first one, though?
Right, you'll have to have them file a bond motion.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. Your name? Mr. Wright, you were arrested in 20 CF 14726. You were arrested for possession of cocaine. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances, sir, without a valid prescription. Your bond is $1,000. I'm not going to revoke your other cases, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Which one? Okay, what about Christian Young? Young, Sure. 2002-7174. Bonded. Okay, thank you. And then, I'm sorry, Kalibi was what? Mental health, okay. Mr. Nguyen, I will appoint your office. Do you want to waive the appearance?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll waive his appearance.
That's in 20 MM 8129. He was arrested pursuant to a warrant for exposure of sexual organs. The bond is $1,000. Mr. Key? Pardon me? All right, Mr. Nguyen, did you want to waive the appearance? I already emailed Judge Bigney on this case to let her know that he's here.
Yes, Your Honor, we'll waive his appearance.
Okay, so that's in 20 MM 3549. He was arrested for failing to appear for court on a status hearing. He is to be screened for mental health PTR, and as I stated, Mr. Nguyen, you might just want to send an email to the division lawyer, but I did let Judge Bigney's office know that he is here, and then I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond cases.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning, your name?
I'm Steele.
Mr. Steele, you have two cases. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in both. You've got 20 CT 410. Mr. Collins, you need a minute?
I apologize, Your Honor, I'm trying to.
That's okay. I just want you to have what you need.
What's the last name, Steele?
Steele,
Go ahead, Your Honor, I apologize.
Mr. Collins, were you ready?
Yes, I am,
Okay,
Your Honor.
sure. Mr. Steele, you have two cases. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in both. In 20 CT 410, you failed to appear for court on an expired driver's license greater than 6 months. Did you want to resolve that case today, sir? Yes? Okay. Have you read the plea form?
No.
All right, why don't you take a moment, look at the plea form, and let me know if you have any questions. And then on Mr. Collins, did you have an offer on the driving while license suspended case?
No, I don't, Your Honor, because I don't have a DL record, and I like to base my offers on their history. I apologize.
That's okay. I have the driving record.
Oh, okay.
You what? Oh, okay. So let me just explain to you what's on the plea form. It's essentially indicating that by entering into a plea today, you'd be giving up your right to have a trial by a jury. Do you understand that? You're going to give up your right to make the state of Florida prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you committed the offense of driving with an expired driver's license or driving while license suspended if you choose to resolve that case as well. You won't be able to put on any evidence, witnesses, or defenses on your own behalf. Do you understand that? So by entering into this plea, you will not be able to contest any of the evidence that the state has, and the case will be over today.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you want to resolve the driving while license suspended case as well?
All right. Both.
So, Mr. Steele, looking at your driving record, you have one previous driving while license suspended conviction. It was back in 2008. Okay? So they get erased every 5 years. So this will be your first strike. If you get 3 within 5, your license is done for 5 years. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can also be labeled as a habitual traffic offender.
Okay.
Mr. Hamilton, also looking at your driving record, you have one thing suspending your driving record, and it's a failure to appear on a citation. So if you're able to, I would certainly go get that cleared up before you get caught in the driving while license suspended web. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I would follow up with the clerk of the court. I think they might be able to help you figure out how to get like on a payment plan or something to take care of that issue. Okay? Mr. Steele, are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen that this plea will result in your deportation? Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No.
All right, sir. How many days does Mr. Steele have on each, or on the 2? Okay. I'm going to accept your plea in 20 CT 410 and 20 CT 1038. Adjudicate you guilty in both cases. Sentence you to 2 days with credit for 2 days time served in each case, though to run concurrent to one another. You will have to pay court costs in each case. Those are going to be due by December 13th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal. Mr. Steele, if you don't pay the court costs, that's another suspension on the driver's license, okay? Thank you, sir. I'm finding a waiver of Mr. Brown's appearance based upon his inability to come to court due to his behavior in 20 MM 8809. He was arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. Mr. Brown is not to possess any weapons or firearms. I want to order no contact, but he's an inmate here at the jail. I'm assuming they're going to keep the inmates separate, but I don't want to say no contact, and if he inadvertently comes into contact with the victim, it's not his fault.
Your Honor, from what the state understands, literally there is a classification system that will keep that, so we'll let the DOC handle that.
Okay, thank you. Bond is set at $10,000. Good morning, your name?
El Mustafa Darouche.
Sir, you were here in 20 MM 8818. You were arrested for trespassing. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Collins?
Yes, Your Honor, I did have an offer in this case.
Okay.
I did review his history. Based on his history, Your Honor, the offer would be adjudication of guilt, 20 days in Orange County Jail, no return in court costs. He's got quite a bit of trespassing in his history.
Okay. Mr. Wynn? Yes. He what?
I believe he wants to enter a plea at the bench.
Okay. Sir, did you read the plea form? Mr. Darouche?
No, I didn't read it, but I think,
Well, you need to read it, so why don't you take a moment, step back, Do you need assistance reading it or having it explained?
But I know it's in it, I know.
Does he have a plea form? Okay.
Mr. DeRoche. All right. We'll give you a minute to read the form, okay?
I think he's saying he can't read the plea
Oh,
form.
okay, no problem.
Or he can't see the plea form.
Well, all right, come on up. I'll explain it to you. Do you understand by entering into this plea today that you're going to give up your right to have a trial by a jury and make the state of Florida prove that you committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
You won't be able to put on any evidence, witnesses, or defenses in your own behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
So by entering into the plea today, the case will be over and you will not be able to contest any of the evidence. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to proceed?
Yeah.
You do. Okay. Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No.
Mr. DeRouche, you understand you cannot go back to the McDonald's?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in jail. You've got credit for 2 days time served. You are, again, not to return to the McDonald's. You need to abide by the trespass warning. You'll have to pay court costs due by December 13th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. LaFay.
Good morning, Your Honor.
We just moved Mr. Odom to the side. He let us know you were coming.
Thank you so much.
You're
Good
welcome.
to see you, Your Honor.
You as well. Ma'am, good morning. Tell me your name.
Anna Mercado.
Miss Mercado, you're here in 20 MM 8812. You were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. Ma'am, you are not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $500, and I'm not going to revoke your bond on your driving case.
Okay,
Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Jeremiah Askew.
Mr. Askew, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Hendry County, Florida. Sir, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you, to help you coordinate with Hendry County. They are not transporting at this time. I will reach out to Hendry County to let them know you're here to see if they'd like to make any modifications. Once we receive a response, we'll return you to court to let you know what they said. But in the meantime, you'll need to work with Orange County on the case.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What's the normal protocol? They not transport on the weekends or just period?
Period. There's only certain counties where they're transporting due to COVID. That's the issue. So it's only like the surrounding counties where they're moving people, but your county's too far away.
All right, and just to repeat what you said, the public defender gonna help me do what?
So the Orange County Public Defender here is going to represent you on the case and help you coordinate with Hendry County so you can still keep the case going.
And what is my case? Could you put it up, please?
You failed to appear in court on an obstruction of police. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Ladislav Potions.
Sir, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Sarasota County, Florida, for a violation of probation. The bond is set at none. I see you have Mr. Fisher representing you on your loitering and prowling case. Is he going to be representing you on the Sarasota matter as well?
No, I have a different lawyer over there.
Pardon me?
I have a different lawyer over there.
You do? Okay. So you're going to want to get in touch with your lawyer to see if they can file a bond motion for you in Sarasota County.
All right,
All right, I'm not going to take any action on the Orange County case.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Kayla Shockley.
Ms. Shockey, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County, Florida, related to a petty theft. The bond, ma'am, is $500. And I'm not going to take any action on the Orange County case. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we had reset this for the victim to be present yesterday because she was told to leave because he was medical. I don't see her here today. Mr. Nguyen, I appointed your office. Do you want to waive his appearance? It was a quarantine, medical quarantine.
Your Honor, we would waive his, we'll waive his appearance. I don't see, I guess he doesn't qualify for PTR. We'll waive his appearance.
Okay, and that's in 20 CF 14703. He was arrested for battery by strangulation, battery, and aggravated assault. There is probable cause. He's not to have any contact with the victim. He's to maintain a separate residence. He can have a one-time return with the police to get his things. No weapons or firearms. Bond on count 1 is $1,500. Bond on count 2, $100. Bond on count 3, $150.
Your Honor, has he been advised of the warrant? I guess he's got an out-of-state warrant.
Well, we wouldn't do that.
Okay. Well, we'll just leave it.
But your office is appointed to represent him, so I'm sure you could go talk with him about that.
Right.
Good morning, your name?
Dennis Howe.
Mr. Howe. I don't remember why this case was, oh, medical, okay. Did you provide the supplement to this yesterday?
Yes, I did, Your Honor, and then we dealt with one of the COVID defendant, and then we reset on this matter today for him.
Okay. Mr. Howe, you were arrested in 20 CF 14665 for trafficking in methamphetamines greater than 28 grams with a weapon, trafficking in MDMA with a trafficking 10 grams in MDMA with a weapon and carrying a concealed firearm. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with your co-defendant. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond has been revoked in 20 CF 14665. Bond is set at none. Bond on count 1 is $25,000. Bond on count 2 is $150. Bond on count 3 is $150. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I apologize. The bond amounts you just said, were you talking about in his other case or in our case, the one that's current?
In our case.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, good morning. Your name?
Jorge Linares Martin.
Sir, you were here in 20 CF 14683. This case was reset from yesterday with regard to probable cause as to count 1 and 2 regarding the firearm. Mr. Collins?
Your Honor, I reached out to the officer, and I know we had a conversation with the co-defendant this morning. I've already told opposing counsel. State is not going to be moving forward with the armed burglary of the conveyance. The firearm was not used in the commission of the crime. We would just ask the court to find probable cause for burglary of a conveyance at this time.
Okay. So I do find that there is probable cause for the burglary of a conveyance. Bond will be set at $2,500. I'll ROR him as to count 2, and then bond on count 3 is $100. Sir, as I stated yesterday, you are not to have any contact with the victim or any co-defendants. You're not to return to the scene. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Nicholas Montalvo.
Mr. Montalvo, you are here in 20 CF 14682. This was recalled from yesterday regarding probable cause as to counts 1 and 2. Mr. Collins, you're going to rely on the same
Same argument as before, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Montalvo, The
Yes.
state was not able to provide the probable cause information regarding the firearm as to counts 1 and 2, so the court finds probable cause for a burglary of a conveyance as to count 1. Your bond will be $2,500. You'll be ROR'd as to count 2 as there was no firearm. Bond on count 3 will be $100. No contact with your co-defendants, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no weapons or firearms, sir.
Permission to speak for myself?
Excuse me?
Permission to speak for myself?
Well, listen, I don't want you to talk to me about the facts of your case. That's not going to be helpful for you today.
Okay.
Okay? You'll talk to your lawyer about that. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. LaFay, I just have 2 more, and then I'll take your case.
That's fine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name?
Richard Dean Clayton.
Mr. Clayton, you're here in 19 CF 11353. You have allegedly violated your probation by failing to successfully complete the Fresh Start Ministries treatment program. Your bond, sir, is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you.
I have a private attorney.
You do? Okay, so you're going to want to get in touch with them and let them know you're here?
I am already.
Great. And then you will see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days.
May I request a bond hearing at this time?
Your lawyer will be able to do that for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I had this paperwork here for Chad Armstrong, 2002-7145. And it says not on the list. It's a VOP. Okay. That's right. Oh, it does have a bond. Okay, that makes sense. Then he bonded. Thank you. All right. Mr. LaFay, this is case number 20 CF 14718. Hello, Mr. Odom.
Hello.
Mr. LaFay, your client was arrested for failing to stop and remain at a crash scene involving bodily injury. Were you asking to be heard as to bond?
Yes, Your Honor, and also probable cause.
Go ahead.
Leaving the scene, 316.027, crash involving personal injuries. Here, the arrest is for failing to stop at a crash with serious bodily injury. Which the serious bodily injury component elevates it to a felony. Serious bodily injury defined as substantial risk of death, serious personal disfigurement, protracted loss or impairment of the function of a bodily member or organ. Mm-hmm. So there's no mention whatsoever that there's any injury, except I think there's...
It just says the car was overturned.
The car was overturned. So I would say there's no probable cause as to the serious bodily injury. And then I have some testimony from Mr. Odom.
Okay. Go ahead. Mr. Odom, raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name for the record?
William Paul Odom.
Mr. Odom, were you in a car that was involved in an accident on 408?
Yes, sir.
Were you unconscious after the accident?
Yes, I was.
Were you driving?
No, sir.
Who was driving?
My friend Reggie
Reggie, last name being?
Walker.
And so you were in the passenger seat?
Yes, sir.
When you left the vehicle, were you ultimately, after all of this, were you taken to the hospital?
Yes, I was.
Were you diagnosed with a concussion?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Anything from the state? Any questions for the witness?
No questions for the witness, Your Honor.
So, there's nothing in this report that says he was driving. I'll point that out. I don't know where, and Your Honor, with regard to probable cause, I don't know where a scene begins and where it ends. I don't think there's some sort of Maginot line where you can have 1 foot in a scene and 1 foot out of a scene. There's a demarcation. I would say that if a vehicle is on 408, you would want to remove yourself from the immediate vicinity of the vehicle. And 200 feet or approximately 62 yards, I don't know that that's outside of the scene. I would say it doesn't say anything about Mr. Odom running, and I haven't even got to the point that there's no evidence of him driving whatsoever. So I'd ask that there be no probable cause.
All right, Mr. Collins?
Your Honor, the arguments of opposing counsel are great arguments beyond reasonable doubt, basically, when we're at jury instructions and stuff like that, where the facts of the evidence are being weighed by the juries. However, we're at PC, which is a lower standard. The facts of the case that we do have says that the witness identified the defendant as leaving the scene, and then a deputy stopped the defendant 200 feet away from the scene, basically. So therefore, we would argue that there is probable cause of leaving the scene there. As far as the bodily injury goes, the state would just request 24 hours to inquire into the victim's injury and maybe get a supplement report. The other concerns of the state is the office is this defendant may meet the criteria under the Murder Act, Anti-Murder Act, because he has in his history supposedly a robbery with a firearm. So.
But he's not on probation.
I'd have to look into the case law at the top of my head, Your Honor.
Anti-murder would only come into play if Mr. Odom was on probation at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the state would just request 24 hours notice to inquire into the medical or the bodily injury element of it. However, the state would argue we do have PC at least leaving the scene with injuries. Again, the bodily injury state would just have to request that, at least 24 hours, or in this case, that would be something that the jury would have to consider if the state would meet its elements of bodily injury or great bodily injury.
Okay, so looking at the affidavit, there is no evidence of any injury to the person in the accident. Just simply states that the car was overturned on the side of the road. There is no wheel witness whatsoever to put Mr. Odom behind the wheel. The affidavit simply states that the defendant was seen leaving or walking away, which he testified he did walk away. He had a concussion. And that, again, he was only seen walking. And the defendant didn't make any statements to put himself behind the wheel. So I don't find that there is any probable cause. Now, the rules do require me to allow the state their 24 hours to supplement the record to provide the probable cause. What I'm going to do, Mr. LaFay, is I'm going to just stay the bond at this time. I'll reset it for 24 hours. If Mr. Odom bonds out, fine. I don't know what the state will eventually charge, and I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case.
So Mr. Odom's bond is currently selling this at
$2,500. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then if he bonds out, he doesn't have to be here tomorrow, but it will be reset, and I'm here anyway, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you. All right, so now we need Orange County Spanish.
Yeah.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Spanish interpreter.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and call the first case. We are in BRC Courtroom 1.
The defendant can hear me, Your Honor.
Great. Sir, you are here in 20 CF 14266. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant for grand theft. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene. You're not to have any contact with the witnesses. Your bond, sir, is $1,000. I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case. Thank you, sir. Good morning, your name?
Raul Machado.
Mr. Machado, you were arrested. I don't have a case number on this one. Did you see one? With the citation?
Yeah.
Mr. Interpreter, I don't have a case number for this one for you. The clerks were not able to enter it. I think there may be something wrong with the citation. But the name of the defendant, the last name is Machado, Aguilar, Aguilar.
Not a problem. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Sir, you were arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license, sir, and I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. Thank you. Oh, sir, you do have an immigration hold, so you won't be released until they've come to see you about that.
Okay, am I able to call someone?
You should be able to use the phone, yes.
Okay.
You can call the public defender as well.
Okay, but I need to call a family member. Can I get out of jail already or no?
You can get released once the ICE detainer has been lifted. Thank you.
Okay, I'll call a family member now.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Oscar Alejandro Ausencia Guzman. Resendiz Guzman.
Mr. Guzman, this is 20 CT 1657. You were arrested for driving while license suspended. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license, sir, and I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are the scanners on top for Osceola?
The ones that they told me about.
Okay, all right.
This case didn't have a case on it. There should have been another paper attached to it.
Oh, did I take it? Oh, there was.
Okay.
Sorry. Mr. Interpreter, I'm going to leave you on the line because I'm going to we call Osceola? Okay. Mr. Interpreter, I will call you right back.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Maybe that's why. Let's just. Oh, maybe that was why, because they're here now. Okay. Good morning. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and add in the interpreter at this time. Oh, sure. No problem. Yes. Is he present?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
I can't hear that. Oh, okay. Have him come forward then, please. All right, sir. Good morning. I recalled your case because yesterday the case number that I revoked the bond on was the wrong case number. The record indicated it was 20 CF 2020, but the correct case number is 20 CF 3299. So we'll enter a new order indicating the correct case number. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. All right, you too. Yes, sir. Thank you. So for whatever reason, it's having a hard time connecting the two together. So first I had interpreter and then I couldn't get the jail. Now I have the jail and I can't get the interpreter.
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold to leave a general message.
I am connected, Your Honor.
Are you on?
Sorry, there is no operator available at this hour. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Can everyone hear me? Okay. So the first case is Rudy Domingo Montejo.
Hello, Rudy Domingo.
Thank you. Sir, you have two cases. You were arrested for fleeing and eluding and operating a car without a valid driver's license.
Señor, usted se encuentra acá por dos casos, por huir para tratar de eludir a un oficial y por conducir sin licencia válida.
You were also arrested for DUI.
También fue arrestado por conducir bajo los efectos.
There is probable cause for all the offenses.
Determino que existe indicio de criminalidad para todos los cargos.
I will appoint the public defender to represent you.
Se le designará defensor público para que lo represente.
Bond on count 1 for the fleeing and eluding is $2,500.
La fianza para el primer cargo será de $2,500.
Bond on count 2 is $100.
En el segundo cargo de $100.
Bond for the DUI is $100.
Y $100 de fianza para el cargo de conducir bajo los efectos.
You're not. Okay.
Su señoría, el señor Domingo reúne los requisitos para la libertad provisional, no tiene antecedentes ni arrestos previos.
Oh, I do see that. Thank you. I will place Mr. Domingo Montejo on pretrial release for both cases.
Bien, se emitirá entonces la libertad provisional para ambos casos.
Sir, you are not to drive without a valid driver's license.
Señor, se le prohíbe conducir a menos que tenga una licencia.
And you are not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Y se le prohíbe la tenencia o consumo de ningún tipo de bebida alcohólica ni de ninguna droga a menos que sea recetada por un médico.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Oh, I always forget to call the case on these ones. Ronaldo Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez, you were arrested for trafficking in cocaine over 28 grams.
Señor Rodríguez, usted fue arrestado por tráfico ilegal de cocaína menos de 20 gramos.
This was pursuant to a warrant.
Esto es de acuerdo con una orden de arresto.
I'll appoint the public defender.
Se le designará defensor público.
Your bond is $10,000.
La fianza se fijará en $10,000.
You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Se le prohíbe la tenencia o consumo de ningún tipo de droga controlada a menos que tenga una receta.
Is he out on bond? Got it.
Su señoría, él se encuentra en libertad o fianza en el caso 20CF3241. Eso fue en el 29 de octubre. Un cargo de tráfico ilegal en una sustancia regulada. La fianza fue de $50,000 y él tiene una audiencia para el 23.
All right. Bond will be revoked in that case and set at none.
Bien, se revocará la fianza en ese caso entonces.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Next is Jean-Paul Alicia Hernandez. Great, thank you.
You are approaching the maximum length for a recording. Finish your recording after the tone.
Ooh, Mr. Interpreter, you might want to check the voicemail for you all, because I think we just put that all on your voicemail.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're finished. Thank you so much for your help, and please take a look at that.
You have reached the maximum length for a recording.
Thanks, have a
To
good
send
weekend.
this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3. To re-record it, 4. To add to it, 5.
I think we're good. I think we're just on with us.
To send this message, press pound or hang up. To play it, 3.
hang up, so
To re-record it, 4.
I'm going to call
to
right
add
back
to
to
it,
Osceola. I'm going to
5.
hang up on
To
everybody and
discard
call you
it,
right back.
6.
Here we go. All right. Oh, no problem. Okay. Okay, just a second. What's the name? Okay, are there any other ones? I can't get them back. Is the interpreter on the line?
Yes, the interpreter's on the line. Got it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I have one more. I'm so sorry about that.
Not a problem.
It is Ricardo Hernandez Medina.
You have all 3 cases?
Well, sure. I forget. I think I gave it back to you. The Alicia one accident. All right. Sir, you were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not going to... Oh, Mr. Interpreter, this case is not Spanish. The one directly following this one will be.
Understood. I apologize.
Thank you. No worries. All right. So, sir, you were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'm appointing the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may have a one-time return with the police to get your things if needed. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond, sir, is $500.
Your Honor, Amelia Solomon with the Public Defender's Office. I would like to just announce for the record that Mr. Althea Hernandez was not read his Miranda rights by the police officer who arrested him. And also, in the arrest affidavit, the statement of the alleged victim and the statement of the witness at the scene do not coincide with each other.
Okay, so noted. Thank you. All right, so now I need Mr. Ricardo Hernandez Medina. I have 2 cases for him. Should I not pull one?
3 out of
Here, Your Honor.
Got it. All right, sir, you have 3 cases. Oh.
Bien, señor, usted se encuentra aquí por 3 casos.
Can I get you guys to mute a mic over there? It's really loud. Thank you. Mr. Hernandez Medina, you have 3 cases. They are all out-of-county warrants
Tiene
from...
3 casos, todos son órdenes de arresto de otro condado.
These are all out of Hillsborough County.
Todos son del condado de Hillsborough.
They're related to armed burglary of a dwelling, grand theft of a firearm,
Tienen que ver con entrada ilícita con fines delictivos de una vivienda, con tenencia de un arma,
burglary of a dwelling and grand theft,
por entrada ilícita con fines delictivos de una vivienda y por hurto de mayor cuantía,
and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
y tenencia de un arma de fuego por una persona declarada convicta.
The bond is all set at none.
No se ha fijado fianza.
I will appoint the public defender here in Orange County to help you with Hillsborough County in the event that they are not transporting.
Se le designará defensor público para que lo asista aquí en el condado Orange, por si acaso no lo pueden enviar al condado Hillsborough.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
Yes. Okay. All right, Mr. Interpreter, I believe that is everything. Would you just make an announcement over the loudspeaker so that anyone who's there who may need a Spanish interpreter can speak up?
Sure thing, Your Honor.
Thank you.
¿Alguna otra persona que necesita el intérprete de español? Levante la mano si es así.
No one else, Your Honor.
All right. Thanks again. Have a good weekend.
You too, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Next up is Charles Boykin.
Opposing, Your Honor.
And then why don't we also bring up Cody? So does that mean they can't come up? Right, I understand. Okay, thank you. Mr. Charles, I'm going to start with you, sir. You were arrested for battery. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender. Is that Cody there? Oh, don't touch each other, please. Thank you. Mr. Cody Boykin, do you want to have contact with your brother? Are you afraid of him? All right, do you live together? Okay, but you want to keep living together and you're not afraid of him? Okay. And then, Cody, you were also arrested for battery, domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender. Charles, do you want to have contact with your brother? Are you afraid of him? All right. Mr. Collins.
Your Honor, the state would respectfully, I'll wait, Your Honor, for the record.
Okay. All right, so they qualify for pretrial release? What? I'm sorry, I'm not following. No, this is a bifurcated proceeding, and so you can do straight PTR without having to have a bond on a domestic violence case. That's correct. All right, I'm going to place both of you on pretrial release. You're not to have hostile contact with one another. Do you understand what that means? You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I do apologize. Just for the record, the state would be objecting to hostile contact based on given the facts that it just recently happened and both of them were eventually arrested.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Pardon me? Yeah, I just don't understand what that. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's not. I don't understand. I'm placing them on pretrial release. I don't know what direct pretrial means. We don't have that here in Orange County. I'm not certain what that means. Right, but that's not what the statute. But that's not what the statute says. So the statute trumps the administrative order. Thank you. Okay, so next I have Justin Browder. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name? Mr. Browder, you were arrested for petty theft. There's probable cause of appointing the public defender to represent you. You are not to return to the Walmart. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Your bond is $500, sir. I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case. Thank you. Next is Well, I'm not taking any action on the case. Thank you. Donald Camp. No, this is the out on bond case.
On the new case, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Your name? Mr. Camp, you were arrested for theft. Can I get the microphone muted, please? Sir, you were arrested for theft and for burglary of a conveyance. This was pursuant to a warrant. The bond on count 1 is $150. The bond on count 2 is $3,500. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I would like to take judicial notice of the finding of contempt by Judge Wood on November 2nd, 2020. In numerous cases, the individual was accused of incompetent, but is also presumed to remain incompetent until restored. However, the court does not believe that that case was certainly found that the defendant's competency can be restored in any foreseeable future.
Okay, I'll just ask that your office then file the appropriate motion and the division, and the judge that's assigned to the case can sign the order. Thank you. Benjamin Diwali. Sir, you were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $500 on count one, and there's probable cause for the resisting officer without violence. Bond will be $100. Thank you, sir. Next is Joaquin Diaz. Thank you. Mr. Diaz, you failed to appear for court on a petty theft case for your plea. Your bond is $2,000, sir. Thank you. Next is Kimberly Gordon. Ma'am, good morning. You were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may have a one-time return with the police to get your things if needed. Your bond is $500. Thank you. Ms. Harlow, Jennifer Harlow.
Approaching, Your Honor.
Good morning, ma'am. You are here in case number 20CT2611. You failed to appear on driving on an expired driver's license. Your bond is $2,999. Thank you, ma'am. The next case is Richard Holden.
Approaching, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Holden. You were arrested for failing to appear for court. Your bond is $8,997, sir. Thank you. The next case is Tabitha Killen. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. You were arrested for burglary of a dwelling and resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. If I could just get that mic mute, thank you. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you, ma'am. You're not to return to the scene or have contact with the victim. Your bond on count one is $2,500. Your bond on count two is $100. Is Miss Killen out on bond, or is she on probation? Which county? Okay, I'm not going to take any action on that.
Judge, can they provide a case number? I have to include it on the order that you're taking no action.
They don't have it. Is there... Thank you. The next defendant is Justin Kaczynski. Sir, you were arrested for burglary of a dwelling, resisting officer without violence, and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim. Your bond on count one $2,500, bond on count 2, $100, bond on count 3, $150. You're also not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Thank you, sir. Mr. Christian Lopez, please. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Lopez. You were arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked as a habitual offender. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to drive without a valid driver's license. You are to contact the public defender within 24 hours of your release. I'm releasing you on your own recognizance at this time, sir. Thank you. Giancarlos Polino. Sir, you were arrested for battery. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things if needed. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $500. Thank you, sir. Next is Pierre Plumey.
Approaching, Your Honor.
Mr. Plumey, you were arrested for violating your community control. Your bond is set at none, sir. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Thank you. Mr. Lafar Ventura Vargas. Good morning. This is an arrest for a battery. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may have a one-time return with the police to get your things if needed. Your bond, sir, is $500. Thank you. Anything else from Osceola County?
No, Your Honor. I think that's all.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.